Follow us on Twitter, twitter.com/guideustv1. Find us on Flickr, flickr.com/photos/guideustv, and add us on LinkedIn, linkedin.com/guideustv. Get guided with Guide Us TV.
Hey, we are coming to you almost live all the way from our studios here in Southern California. And we've got a big program scheduled for tonight. And hopefully the people that are supposed to be here will come on. So we have Habib and a surprise guest, Muslim Cowboy. He is going to be here with us as well. And here is Habib. Salam alaikum.
Alaikum assalam.
MashaAllah. Did you get the link okay?
Yeah, I got the link. I'm always amazed at what time the link comes in because you never know. It could be a half hour before the show starts, and sometimes it's a couple of seconds. But I'm always ready because I know I'm supposed to be on. So alhamdulillah for everything. You see?
We have a background right now that says rational believer. And that's what we are supposed to be, a rational believer. What do you think about that?
Well, it's better than being an irrational believer.
That's great. That's a good thing. What else do we know about being a rational believer?
Well, when you're looking at being rational, your thinking is a little different than somebody else that is not thinking in the right way, or the way they look at things are differently because it's not a rational thought. So what would you think about a rational believer when it comes to Islam?
Well, number one, a rational believer should have some evidence that he is pondering over and then think rationally about it, right? That's number one.
Yes, that's right.
Okay, with rational evidence, the rational believer would accept what the rational evidence is. Number one.
Yes.
All right. So that's part and parcel of being a rational believer. Now, what does Islam have that is a rational belief system based on what?
So that's a good question. Well, when you look at different aspects of the Quran.
No. Wait a minute. Oh, you just said Quran when okay, go ahead.
Yeah, when you're looking at the Quran and what the Quran is talking about, then when you're looking at rationality and how do you look at this rationally and put it into place of what your belief is, then you're asking the right questions and you're looking at the right source.
Yep, exactly. Now, accepting the rational pronouncement of the Quran, because Quran actually means recitation. So you have to pronounce it, and that's the Quran. And if you're reading something to yourself, that is your own personal thing, but that's not the way that the Quran was intended to reach other people. Don't hold it into yourself. That's what I'm saying. Don't hold it within yourself and saying, well, I didn't know, that's not a rational thing. So the recitation means you have to recite it to somebody or let them listen to that. You may have a recording. You might have somebody live on the air or with you, and let the people listen to that. But that is the explanation of sharing your rational beliefs.
Yes, and that also goes with the hadiths as well, because if you're sharing what you learned in a hadith, then it's something that is being shared, and this helps people to understand where you're coming from when you're doing certain things.
Yep, exactly. And I would like to add something to that. If the person is talking to another rational person, even if they come from two different ends of the world, if they are rational with proper translations, because usually they would be speaking different languages, but if they had proper knowledge and they share it with each other, that should be a rational outcome. Is that right?
Yes. The only time it's not a rational outcome is when somebody's misunderstanding of what you're saying and putting their own ideas, or, well, I thought you meant this, or I thought you meant that, without thinking really rational about what's being said and making assumptions.
Okay. So this is why I want to feature the topic tonight, because I met a very rational person a long time ago. He drove all the way from Houston, Texas, all the way up to Little Rock, Arkansas, near the top of Arkansas. And he did so just to see us putting on a show, one of our regular programs. And it turned out that he was just newly in Islam. And it surprised me. And he drove all that way to meet me because he knew that my last name was Estes and he had the same last name. Now, we had never met before, and we met that on that occasion. Then he drove back to Houston, Texas. I was shocked. Later on, he got married, and now he has children, and he lives in Saudi Arabia. What do you think about that?
Wow. So my question is, are you related in some way?
As far as we know, all of the Estes people had come from one source. Now, not by marriage. And this is from the people that were in Spain, and they migrated in the late 1400s or early 1500s. They migrated away from Spain because it was being really hard on the Muslims there. And their name was not Estes, it was Ustaz. And it got changed on century after century. It got modified and changed a little bit. And now it wound up Estes with an A. Estas, And then when they came over here to the New World in 1667, it's exactly when we can trace back all the way to the people who were coming over here. Now, I'm not generally speaking, I'm talking about Richard Estes. And he came over on a ship from England. And he is my great, 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 great grandfather. Now, he had a brother who maybe I'm going to tell you who he is, okay? He's Brandon Estes, and he's coming on tonight, all right? So when I say the Muslim cowboy, you'll know who I'm talking about. And yeah, I'll tell you while he's on the air how he came to be called the Muslim cowboy, but this is another story. But let's go back to maybe he had a different great, 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 great grandfather, and that's why he was from Texas. I was originally from the New England area, and my grandfather was born in New England, and then he came down to Ohio and Michigan, and that's where my father was born, in Michigan. So, yeah, that's a summation of a long, long story that I had to memorize.
Better you than me, but it's part of your genealogy.
Yep. Yeah, we know that. And if his father had an opportunity to talk with me, we didn't have an opportunity yet to talk about seriously our last name. But I've met his father on several occasions, just hello, goodbye, and his mother was there. And they're very, very nice people, very understanding. And they were understanding of him going to Islam. I'm not saying that they were on board with joining him, but at least they didn't throw him out.
Right.
What experience did you have with your family?
Well, on my father's side, it's a little bit different than on my mother's side. When you look at my mother's side, my grandmother was Scottish, and they left the country because of a war that was happening there. I think it was like the Boer War, and that's why they left and they came to Canada. On my father's side, you would have to go back several generations to a family of Loblaws, that there were 7 brothers that came to Canada, Atlantic Canada, like New Brunswick, Nova Scotia, Prince Edward Island. And at that time, this used to be called Acadia. And so they're known as Acadians. And so I'm part of that, but there was a time period when the Acadians left, and some of them went to what's now is New Orleans. And this is where you get Cajun from, like Cajun food. It comes from the word Acadian.
What? Repeat that last part.
I was saying that they went to New Orleans and they came. The word Cajun is from Acadian.
Acadian.
Yeah, it's from Cajun. Acadian is the nowadays they call it Cajun, is in regards to Cajun cooking.
Yeah, I heard about that.
Yeah, and what's really funny when you look at Acadian food and you compare it to Cajun food, because the mixture of cultures there, it went for something really bland to something really spicy.
Okay. Well, now I want to ask you another question. You're talking about the ethnicity of yourself, right?
Right. Well, when you're looking at myself, I come from a French and Scottish background.
Okay. Originally, I think when the King of England was taking over, that was when the people wouldn't swear allegiance to him. They would only swear at him, and they got in the ship and came over to Canada. Is that right?
Well, no, what happened was with the French, they wanted the French to swear allegiance to the, I believe at that time it was the king, and they refused. And because they refused, they were expelled, and a lot of them were killed.
You're talking about France, right?
No, I'm talking about Canada. When you were living in Canada, they were expelled from Canada. Yeah.
All right. I just got my wires crossed up.
That's okay. Understanding Canadian history is a little different than understanding the United States history.
Well, how did your parents treat you when you accepted Islam?
Well, my parents weren't living when I accepted Islam. Both of my parents were dead at that time.
I'm sorry I asked that question. I didn't realize that.
Oh, no. If you didn't know, I mean, if you don't know, you don't know, right? Or, it's one of those things we might have talked about in the past, but you can't remember every single thing that we talked about in a 3-year period over shows that we talked about multiple things, right? So it's very understandable. But the other, see, when I hear you say that, it's like, okay, what I look at is the siblings that were living at the time, right? And so like say 8 years ago, right? When you look at my siblings, none of my siblings had a problem with it. None of my nieces and nephews really had a problem with it, because they just accepted me for who I was, and that was it. And okay, fine, you converted to Islam. One of my nieces, Lori, she had converted to Islam at one time, and they give her sisters and her brothers gave her a hard time about this. And then years later, she decided not to be a Muslim. So my family is a little fickle like that. That some people they'll give her a hard time to, and some people they won't. But with me, it didn't matter if they give me a hard time or not, and I'm still going to do what I'm going to do.
Okay, that makes sense. So you really had some problems with your sister, right?
Well, one sister, well, it's not so much that I had problems with her. She didn't like the idea that she couldn't give up pork. And so it was like, well, I'm not going to believe a man that, went through the desert and talked about giving up pork. And it's like, her daughter's trying to explain to her, no, that wasn't Muhammad that was saying about giving up pork. This, you would have to go back further in history. And she was saying that it was Moses. I think it was Moses that said about this. So she tried to explain that to her, but yet it's like, no, I don't want to give up my pork. So, and I tried to talk to her about Islam different times in telling her about what it's like for me. And I explained to her, well, a couple of times it's like, well, I don't want to give up my pork chops. And I said, that's okay. I don't want to give up my lamb chops. What? You eat lamb? Yeah, it's Muslim because it's halal. Well, what's halal? So I had to explain to her what's halal. And I started talking about different things about the Prophet and stuff like this. So I did, talk to her about my faith. But at the end of the day, she only believed what her daughter told her.
Well, that's sad, but they didn't give you a hard time about being a Muslim, did they?
No, none of my family really did. Like I say, there was only 2 former friends that gave me a hard, and it wasn't that much of a hard time. It's not like I was hard done for, they just made some comments, and it's like, to me, it was like water off a duck's back. It's like, yeah, because the thing is, I wasn't going to get upset about it because there was no point. It's, the expression, they made their bed, they can lie in it. So it's like, this is your choice. It's up to you.
Well, that's a good idea.
Yeah.
Very good idea.
See, a lot of times people don't understand some things about me, right? And one of them is like, especially when it comes to, so-called friends. I survived before I met you. I'll survive a long time after you're gone. And that's only because it's because of Allah. So I have friends, don't have friends, but my true friends always stick with me.
That's a good thing to think about. As a rational believer, your true friends will stick with you, even if they don't understand what you're doing. That's a rational belief. And it's time for us to take a break. What do you think about that?
Good idea. So let's take a break, and hopefully our guests will join us after the break.
Hopefully. Thanks to all of you for watching, sharing, and spending your time with us on Guide Us TV. And remember, tell everyone, stay guided with Guide Us TV.
Guide Us TV, first Islam channel in U.S. Stay guided with Guide Us TV.
Get connected with Guide Us TV. Like us on Facebook at facebook.com/guideustv1.
Assalamu alaikum. I'm Yusuf Estes with really good news. But first, many people are hearing things about Islam, but they are not getting the right message. So the best time to get the right message out is right now. And we have the best way to do exactly that with Allah's support and your help. We've got our projects, our websites, satellite TV channels, and now we can reach every home on the planet, inshallah. Let's make that difference together. It's easy. And be my dawah partner.
Get connected with Guide Us TV. Like us on Facebook at facebook.com/guideustv1. Join us on Google Plus plus.google.com/plus-guideustv. Follow us on Twitter, twitter.com/guideustv1. Find us on Flickr, flickr.com/photos/guideustv, and add us on LinkedIn, linkedin.com/guideustv. Get guided with Guide Us TV.
We'll be back right after this. You're watching Guide Us TV. Thanks to all of you for watching, sharing, and spending your time with us on Guide Us TV. And remember, tell everyone, stay guided with Guide Us TV.
Guide Us TV, first Islam channel in U.S. Stay guided with Guide Us TV. Alhamdulillah
Rabbil Alameen. How do you like that?
I like that.
Are back. MashaAllah. Well, we do have a special guest with us right now. And I think we should add him to the stage and get it. Assalamu alaikum, Muslim boy.
Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Sheikh Yusuf and our other brother here on stage. How are you doing, guys?
He is number one with us, and he is Habib.
Habib, welcome.
Yes.
Yeah.
Welcome.
What you know better than me because of you're in an Arab situation. So what does that word Habib mean to you?
Habib reminds me of the title that was given to our beloved Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. He is the Habib of Allah, the most beloved of Allah. So
yes.
You are the beloved Habib, and it's a pleasure to meet you.
It's nice to meet you as well. I heard some things about you, and I seen a while back, I seen a video of you, I think, calling the Adan.
Ah, yeah, that one, 2017. Yes.
Yes, I was quite impressed with that.
I remember that day in Dallas, Texas. It was in Arlington.
Yeah, the Arlington area.
Yeah, Dar es Salaam, I think.
Dar es Salaam, yeah. So, who was the cameraman?
Man, he was the cameraman was this very wise guy I know.
A wise guy.
Yeah, some wise guy.
Yeah, there's two ways you could take that, right?
Yeah.
MashaAllah.
Yeah, I think I know this wise guy too.
Oh, you do?
Yeah, I think I met him in September. Yeah.
What year?
This year.
September this year. Well, that's about the time.
Yeah, it was in Newark, New Jersey. He actually came up to me in the airport.
Oh, I came up to you in the airport too.
Yep.
Yeah. Alhamdulillah. Well, this is a great thing. All three of us together. We have something in common. Can you guess what it is, Habib? All of us.
Well, the three of us are converts.
Yes, sir.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, we are converts. But him and I, well, the Muslim cowboy and I have something else in common. Do you know what that is?
The last name?
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, you knew it off the bat.
And
No, he had talked about this earlier, and it's like, so it's like you put two and two together, and
there's something else that we have in common as well. Not only do we have the same last name, but what? Go ahead.
I'm waiting for somebody to say something.
We are waiting for you. Guess what?
What?
Well, tell him. Tell him.
Well, I lived in the same city that he converted in right after I converted. So
Yes.
Oh, wow. Now that I wouldn't have guessed.
Yeah, and the same state too.
same state. Yeah, yes, our city happened to be in the same state somehow.
Yeah. But what's it called? Texana, Arkansas.
That's where we met. I'm saying my wife lived in Arlington where you converted.
Oh yeah.
And that's where I live. That's what we have in common.
She was a little baby at that time, wasn't she?
Yeah, she was born in 90. You converted in 91.
Yeah, she was 1 year old. And
1 year old.
I remember her crying while we were there.
So where are you living now?
I live in Saudi Arabia.
Oh, okay. Which city?
In Riyadh right now. I just moved to Riyadh. So.
Oh, okay. I have a good friend who's living.
I was in
Riyadh.
Medina for 4 years, and now I moved to Riyadh.
You said, Habib, you said that you had a good friend that lived in where?
Riyadh.
Riyadh. Okay.
Yeah, Riyadh. That's where he's living now. He was living in the Fredericton area, him and his wife and kids. And I had met him and we became close, really good friends when I moved to the Fredericton area. And we spent a lot of time together. And he always made sure that I went for Salah. And yeah. So, and still he calls me from time to time. He's trying to help me to go to Saudi Arabia. Last time it was for this year. He was trying to get me to go there for Hajj, but for some reason it didn't work out. So I'm hoping next year I'm going to have this opportunity.
That's awesome. Well, I hope you get that opportunity for sure. I'm going to put my camera on a stand. And I think we lost Sheikh Yusuf.
No, you didn't lose anything.
Oh, he's back. He is back.
And I got my Texas hat on, boy.
Well, I met somebody recently, Sheikh Yusuf, and he told me to give you salams.
Who?
All right, so let's see if we can remember who is this brother of ours. Here we go. I'm going to use my phone stand so that way we can get a better angle. So his name is Muhammad Mutlaq Al-Qahtani from Qatar.
Oh, mashallah.
He's pretty high up there. And he said he met you a couple years ago because I was just invited to Qatar and he invited me to his house, mashallah. And he told me, he said, I met him over 10 years ago. And he told me to give you a really, really big salams. So,
mashallah. Well, this recording, this is being recorded right now, and it'll be up here sometime, maybe tomorrow, and you can let him know that will be today at your time, right?
Okay.
Because we're about
12
hours apart or 10 hours apart or something like that.
10 or 9, somewhere. 11 hours. Yeah. Because you're 2 hours. You're Pacific, right?
Specific.
Yeah, yes. Very specifically, you're 11 hours behind me. So.
Oh, well, you know what?
And I think I'm 7 hours behind you.
Yeah. You're Eastern time, huh, Habib?
Atlantic.
Yeah, 7 hours.
In the Atlantic Ocean.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Last time I checked, I was on land, but yeah, I wasn't in water.
Well, let's feature the Muslim cowboy, and you can talk about whatever you want to talk about, and let's see what you got.
Well, that's very general, but I just wanted to tell people thank you for coming and watching Sheikh Yusuf. All of you who are out there who have supported his dawah. I mean, when I first met him, it was immediately after I converted, and everybody told me, no other Muslim is doing Islam in the media in the United States except for this other convert who just happens to have the same last name as you. And I knew this was the day I gave Shahada. They're like, is that your uncle? Did you come? And I was like, no, he's not my uncle. And they're like, well, you got to go meet him. And so that's when I first started watching everything of yours. That day I converted, and just heck, within 1 month I took a 9-hour trip, took off work for a week to come to Arkansas to come meet you, to come see how I could be part of this. So I think people who get the Dawah bug, it's kind of hard to get rid of it, and so. It's even if you do work and you do other things, I think it becomes a part of who you are, because you just, when you do something for the sake of Allah, it's hard to stop, especially this calling that is the inheritance of the prophets. And so everyone who's helped, who's watching right now, I think Sheikh Yusuf and I just want to thank you guys for all of your support, because without all of you guys, we wouldn't have been able to, and especially him, wouldn't have been able to make those strides towards getting Islam out to the American people and to the world if it wasn't for your support and contributions and standing there alongside us, being viewers and spreading this message. So that's the first message I want to give. Thank you to those watching.
Yeah, that is really a beautiful thing. By the way, did you know that we're under the gun? And maybe I should tell you about it, just because we have.
Sounds like Wild West movie. What kind of guns are we under right now? Why are coming down on us?
Well, we are going to lose this channel on the satellite, but not on the social media. And the channel is not producing what it was in the beginning. It was huge, very huge. Millions of people watched it. But we do have one loyal following in every state of the union. If they have the satellite there, they have it every single day, 24 hours a day, all over the United States. And you know what? What we're talking about? The prisons. All of the prisons that have the satellite receptor, they will be able to show the inmates what's happening. And if they are good, really good, in the hour that we're live, they get to watch that. Yeah. And some of them even get they're in their own pods, wherever they are. They have a chance to get, well, we missed him. I don't know.
Oh, it's did it drop me off real quick? There we go.
There you go.
Okay.
Well, you are far away. So the idea for the prisons is that
that's beautiful.
Yeah, but why we're under the gun. We've been very slow in paying for the satellite usage. And now all of a sudden, I thought that was $40,000, but I just looked at it today and I found it was over $60,000 by the end of the year, or they will cut us off. And that's not saying that we'll be cut off, but for the satellite folks that are watching us, they're not going to be able to see it. And biggest conversion of people is in
prisons.
The prisons. Yeah. Have you heard about that before?
Yes, there's a documentary I watched actually that was done by non-Muslims talking about how the fastest growing, and it's not even like head to head by any other religion, the fastest growing religion, the most amount of converts in prison is Islam by a wide margin. And it's interesting when they talked about why, because it's in prison. So you're going to think gangs, you're going to think violence, you're going to think, drugs and other stuff under the table. But the reason why they're converting to Islam is because Islam gives people safety without having to join a gang or having to run drugs in prison, but yet they still get that brotherhood without having to do all of those things.
Well,
and because of the meaning of Tawheed, obviously, because it's clear and it makes sense.
Yeah. Well, in one case, I'd let the viewers that know around the world right now, if you want to support us, you can go to the website. We have several websites for just exactly what you're thinking about doing. You're thinking about donating something.
For Islam, I'm sure.
Yeah, that's what it's all about. Anyway, so when you do that, you're donating on Donate Islam, Donate for Islam, Donate to Islam, and we have several more, but those are the ones that are sounding alike. So if you get on one, you'll be on the other.
Oh, so the URL is what they're doing. They're donating for Islam, and that's also the URL that they can go to. That makes it really easy. I mean, for a simple countryman like myself, I think that would work. I think that's all right.
Yeah. Well, yeah. For a good old boy, you are the goodest. Alhamdulillah.
Alhamdulillah.
But everybody can see that this pin right here.
Yeah. Yes, sir.
And better than that, my handkerchief, I don't blow into it, but my handkerchief is that.
I got one right hanging up on the bookshelf over here in the other part of my room.
Yep. I don't want to say it, but
yeah, we know what we're talking about.
Yeah. I don't want to go off the air that way. Anyway, so we do have something right behind me, and it's saying La ilaha illallah Muhammad Rasulullah. Yeah, let me get out of the way. Yeah. Can you see it?
Yeah, oh man, that's beautiful. And it looks like it's got some depth to it.
Yep. But it's only a green screen.
It doesn't look like a green screen. It looks like you got that actually put on the wall. Someone did a really good design. Wow, that's gorgeous. So long.
Well, yeah. Anyway, so this is what it really is. Well, it didn't work.
Well, because La ilaha illallah is just It's a heavy statement. It doesn't want to go away. It's here to stay.
I was going to show you the real deal, but yeah, anyway.
Anyhow, so I guess what we're talking about, the topic tonight, it's about ex-Muslims, huh?
Yeah, ex-Muslims. And can you imagine why anybody would leave Islam? Why?
Well, I really can't. I've talked to a couple, not including the ones who are the famous ones online. You know what I like to ask them all? I got a question I usually ask them. What do you think that one is, Sheikh Yusuf?
Well, I have a question too. I say, is there really a God?
Well, I asked them, how many rakats are in sujood? And when they tell me, well, sometimes 2, sometimes 4, then I know they just did a little Google search, because Google wouldn't even been able to, they would not tell them the actual answer, that this was a trick question. And you can kind of spot someone real quickly based on the questions you ask them. Because if I can tell that they are sincere, maybe they were an ex-Muslim, then we can have a conversation. But a lot of the times, a lot of people trying to fool and pull the wool over our eyes. So I feel like it's important to, be wise, use wisdom and a little bit of critical thinking to get them to see how much they actually knew about Islam, what they practiced, if they ever were really a Muslim. And so, and you ask people if they don't even know Fatiha, which is what even the new Muslims, even if you are from backwoods country, Texas, you're going to learn Fatiha, right? You're going to learn it, even if the pronunciation's not the best. You're going to learn the first 7 verses, because you have to recite it in every single prayer. So if someone's like, yeah, I was Muslim for 20 years and went to all these madrasas, I'm like, okay, recite Surah Fatiha. Oh, in the name of Allah. It's like, okay, there's something missing here. But they're the only people who I have talked to who did, they were converts. And it was very few of them. But one of them, her sister, she converted. And within 2 weeks, her sister, wa'udhu billah, did the unspeakable thing and no longer is with us. Let's make it very child friendly. And this girl was so upset about that. She's a new Muslim for 2 weeks, and I guess she didn't have a community. And so she said, I just wanted to give up, and I just didn't want to practice anymore. And so for her, it was an emotional argument. It was something that she went through such an overwhelming ordeal of losing her sister that she just gave up. She gave up all hope. And what's interesting is Allah says in the Quran, يا عبادي الذين أسرفوا على أنفسكم لا تقنطوا من رحمة الله. Oh, my servants, those of you who have oppressed yourself, because we don't oppress Allah, we can't harm him, he doesn't need us, so we're only hurting ourselves. He says, لا تقنطوا, don't despair of the mercy of Allah. Sometimes things might happen. We don't know the wisdom behind it, but we should never give up hope.
Have you ever heard the story? I'm going to ask you this. Have you heard about the mercy of Allah by his names? He has 2 beautiful names that are meaning mercy. One is a general topic. One is a specific topic. Do you know about that?
Yes, I'm very familiar.
Okay, go ahead and tell us.
Well, if I'm correct about what you're bringing up, there's 2 names of Allah, and we actually say them in the beginning, before we recite Quran, before we recite any surah, the beginning of any chapter of the recitation. That's what the Quran means, the recitation. And it's Bismillahi ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. So the two names are ar-Rahman and then ar-Rahim. Both of them are connected to mercy. They both have mercy in them. One of them is broad, very general. Allah is ar-Rahman, where He has mercy for everything in the universe, in creation. And this is the mercy that you see when you see a mother camel, taking care of her young. This mercy that was naturally created in her. The mercy that He gives to people to let them continue even though they're doing bad things on the earth, but eventually He's going to put His justice down. God has left His mercy on this earth. Now, Ar-Rahim is a specific, very special mercy that at least the scholars that I have looked at have reserved for certain people, and especially for those on the Day of Judgment from amongst His beloved servants.
Actually, you are exactly right, but I heard a hadith about that. Did you know that?
Tell me about it. You might be onto something.
Well, the hadith that I know about is the Prophet ﷺ was walking with some of his companions, and they spotted a lady holding a newborn baby.
Ooh. Mm.
And he said to them, he asked them a question. Would this lady ever allow that baby to fall into a fire? I said, no way, that's not going to happen. He said, all of the mercy, and you were talking about that exactly thing, the exact thing you talked about a camel. He said the same thing about all of the mercy of all of the mothers and all of the people all over the world from Adam until the last day. Yeah, I'm being inclusive here.
Mm-hmm.
All of the mercy is from Ar-Rahman. But then he mentioned something about that in that hadith, about 100 parts of mercy. He said, this is the one part, Ar-Rahman. He said the other 99 parts of His mercy is waiting for the true believers on the Day of Judgment. You heard that, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yep. Did I tell it right?
Yeah, it was that was pretty much spot on. Yeah. And what was even crazier about that story is the woman lost her child. She was looking for it and she couldn't find it. And so when she found her child, she picked the child up and she was, overflowing with joy, like especially now, not just a woman who's got a child who's crying like, oh, she's been dealing with this. No, she thought she couldn't find her child. She's running all over the place, losing it almost like any mother naturally would. She found her child and was taking it to suckle so the child could calm down. And then you see this image of a woman who thought, and now she just wants to do everything she can to love the child, to nurture it. That image was where it's of us. No, there's no way this woman could ever hurt this child. And even more so, God said that He would never, ever throw into the fire those servants of His.
Yeah, and the other name is Ar-Rahim. Ar-Rahman, Ar-Rahim. That is the name of according to scholars, they said that is the name of the one who is going to give the mercy
on the Day of Judgment.
The believers on the Day of Judgment.
Correct. And that was the end of the hadith, and that was the part where he will reserve those 99. And if we think all the mercy that we see, that's only one part. Oof. Can you imagine? Can you imagine, Sheikh Yusuf? 99 is reserved.
I want to be real close to Allah. And I want to be real, I don't know what, forgiven by Allah. So this is why we have all of our websites. By the way, you know I had a lot of websites, right?
I think you had more than 2 of them last time I checked. I think you're rubbing off on me, Sheikh Yusuf. I'm getting a little bit. What do we call it? Cutting up. Where we come from.
Well, the last time I saw you, I had about 5,000, right?
Yeah, I remember it was over 4,500. So
yeah. Now we have 5,900.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, almost 6,000 websites.
Oh, goodness. MashaAllah.
And folks, if you ever wanted to do something, and I'm going to bring Habib back on, and all of us, we really need Islam. And if you would like to do something right now, do it. Go to donateislam.com. And by the way, we got to tip our hats and ride out of town right now because we're going off to a better place. Yeah. So stay tuned and stay guided with
Guide Us TV.
You said it right, man. Woo-hoo.
Get connected with Guide Us TV. Like us on Facebook at facebook.com/guideustv1. Join us on Google+, plus.google.com/+guideustv. Follow us on Twitter, twitter.com/guideustv1. Find us on Flickr, flickr.com/photos/guideustv. And add us on LinkedIn, linkedin.com/guideustv.